A very good afternoon, and thanks for clicking on to the Thursday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. This was another little bit of a look back at the storms that took place, yesterday over the Netherlands in particular. This was the scene in parts of the country. Amsterdam was seeing gusts in excess of 70 miles an hour. We had trampolines getting blown over. We had a lot of breaking waves, of course, taking place along the coastline. Also, a very, very difficult situation actually for this region of the world. And like I said several times over in yesterday's video, incredible how similar this system was compared to what we've seen back at the end of July 2015. And 2015 is a significant year. It is a year that I had been comparing with this year. The July may be similar to 2015 with surges of heat, not so much to the same extremity as was seen in 2015, because of course we did see record breaking hot temperatures. We're not going to get that this year, I don't think, but certainly it is pretty amazing how similar this event was to back in 2015, and of course that was an El Nino year as well. So lots and lots and lots of things going on at the moment here. So I do encourage you to keep it right here on my channel. If you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button. I do tend to try and look and take pride actually at looking at the different aspects of meteorology rather than just saying it's going to be one thing or another thing. I try to show you the evolution of the pattern, reasons why sea surface temperatures and the interaction with the atmosphere has such a big role in terms of weather. And I think really overall things are playing out very, very nicely indeed when it comes to the summer forecast. It is interesting now with some of the models now backing away from that high pressure dominated pattern. Now remember, the July forecast was that we would see possibly a return to higher pressure and drier conditions through the second half of the month. I did state the fact that it may be a delayed response to the atmosphere, but in the actual summer forecast, I did say that the low pressure would dominate the month of July, and we could see a relatively cool month as well as quite wet month. We'll look at that in just a second. This is, of course, also something I showed you yesterday. The 7-day change in the sea surface temperature anomalies over the eastern and north Atlantic. Very, very significant indeed, where in fact we've shaved off about a half a degree, as you can see here, off the anomaly from what we had, say, just a week or so ago. And of course, I've explained already the shift in the upper air pattern, the wind increase over the sea surface has allowed the upwelling of those waters, and hence why we've seen the big change. This is the latest run of the CFSV2, by the way, for the month of July. And notice now, this is actually a tweet that Shrine posted just not that long ago, in fact, and it caught my attention. I thought I have to show that in today's video because, yeah, I suppose in some respects it's because this is my forecast and I'm a little bit enthusiastic of the fact that the CFSV2 now is actually showing for the rest of the month low pressure dominating the pattern. It would actually make for a very, very good July forecast, given the fact that a lot of the models, including the Met Office, including, I believe, the ECMWF was the same, showing a big ridge of high pressure planked right over the UK for not just, July, but the majority of the summer. And isn't it interesting how we are starting to see the feedback, those warmer than normal sea surface temperatures, possible connection with the developing El Nino as well over the eastern Pacific. Of course, we'll have to take into consideration there is a lag and everything like that. I understand that, but I did think that with the developing El Nino, like we've seen in 2012, we had an El Nino in 2015, we've seen quite a lot of volatility in the pattern as well then. But with the super warm waters that we had at the end of June, to start the month of July, with the developing El Nino, with other aspects, including the Mount-Julian Oscillation and other drivers around the planet, I thought we would start to see a lowering of the pressure during the heart of the summer season, given those warm sea surface temperatures, those warm waters releasing more moisture, more cloud cover, and more unsettled weather overall. And that is exactly what is happening And it looks as if the modelling is now starting to show a continuation of that low pressure dominated pattern as opposed to a shift towards higher pressure. But there's a long way to go, folks. We're only in the 6th of July. That may still change. But certainly Shrine says, remember the hot July predictions. This is a bit late for the CFSV2 to be showing this big flip around taking place. This is the GFS ensembles. We'll look at the weekend, by the way, and the volatility of the pattern in just a second. I'm getting there with regards to the thunderstorm threat and whatnot. But this is the upcoming 5-day period. Area of low pressure to the west of the UK opens the door to some hot, humid air coming in from a southerly direction. And of course, with a cold front edging in from the west, warm, humid air in place, we've got the recipe for explosive thunderstorm development, and I think we will see that. But check this out. This is the 1 to 5 day. This is the 6 to 10 day. And look at that there. We're draped under a canopy of lower than normal heights across the north, warmer than average, or stronger than average, I should say, across the south. And even out to the 11 to 15 day, look at this here. So the GFS, along with other models, are now starting to show a low pressure dominated July. This would take us to the 21st of July. And of course, even if we did see a change in the final, week to 10 days of the month would have been dominated by low pressure overall. So I thought that was quite interesting to show you with regards to the long-term models. So this is accumulated precipitation. This is off the GFS run. This is through Saturday the 22nd of the month, and you can see here we've got plenty of rain to speak about. Ireland, Northern Ireland, and particularly Western and Northern Britain, we have got a fair amount of rain to come over the next couple of weeks here. So I thought that's quite interesting. Quite a wet looking pattern overall, and even across parts of Europe, it is a relatively wet pattern also. So, how are we looking at this upcoming weekend? Well, certainly the Cape values, or what is Cape values? Let's have a look and see. So, Cape values is convective available potential energy, and basically, hot, humid air will act almost like popcorn in a microwave. That once you start to increase the heat, the kernels pop, of course, out of the shell. And that is a wee bit like the atmosphere when you have that trigger, i.e., a cold front moving from in off the Atlantic, meeting that warm, humid air. It forces, so that trigger, that cold front, forces the air to rise. And of course, with the speed at which that air accelerates up the way, that then increases sometimes the strength of thunderstorm production. And I think what we're going to have is a several fold situation taking place. And what I mean by that is we've got the building of warm, humid air over the next few days here developing. So we've got this area of low pressure. One, center moves to the north. Then we've got a secondary feature that moves up from the south. And of course, as it's doing so, it's increasing the level of both the heat at the surface and the humidity. So it's almost allowing that pressure cooker to then get switched on. And then, of course, as this area of low pressure moves north, and then its associated front, which isn't unfortunately shown in this chart, that frontal system will kind of start to edge closer towards the UK, bumping against that warm, humid environment. Now, remember as well, we've got some strong southerly winds, and of course, the bulk shear level. So we've got that kind of twist of the air mass with height. So basically, shear within the atmosphere is basically a difference in both wind speed and wind direction the higher up in the atmosphere you go. And that is how sometimes you've got these supercells that develop tremendous ingredients all coming together. But what happens is that you have this kind of twisting effect in the atmosphere as that thunderstorm column starts to grow all the way up to the top levels of the atmosphere. Sometimes it punches through the tropopause, and that creates the anvil shape at the very top of a thunderstorm cloud. That is why what happens is that the air mass is getting forced up the way, vertically up through the column, and then as it punches against that layer known as the troposphere or the tropopause, it then forces the cloud to then split. It diverges aloft, and that's what creates the anvil top of a thundercloud. And I wanted to kind of share that with you because that is something that we are going to see quite prevalent in our skies across the British Isles through the upcoming weekend. So, how warm are we talking? 30 to 32, I think, during the course of tomorrow afternoon at very best. I think Saturday we may approach the 30 Celsius mark. And of course, with surface winds being quite strong south to southeasterly, then you go through maybe up to about 1,000 feet. The air mass is probably coming in from a more kind of south to southwesterly direction. So, of course, with these two different direct wind directions coming in at height, that then creates that spin. And sometimes we also get the areas of thunderstorms that kind of almost congregate into one complex. That's known as a mesoscale convective complex or mesoscale convective system. We may see those develop in this upcoming weekend with the dynamics in place. But we have got the potential, folks, for a bit of wind convergence coming through. So we've got strong winds coming in from a south to southeasterly direction. And then a little bit higher up in the atmosphere, we've got winds coming in from a kind of south to southwesterly direction. What we may find is a bit of a convective line developing, especially kind of from parts of Cambridgeshire up the eastern side of the Pennines, possibly over the Pennines up towards Cumbria. That line, that belt, may see a line of very potent thunderstorms developing during Saturday in this region here. And underneath that, you could easily get 1, 2, even 3 inch per hour rainfall, which will produce flash flooding, especially in areas such as York, for example, that are susceptible to seeing flash flooding because of the geography, of course. Even Carlisle, for example, can get flash flooding during these particular events. So we've got quite a volatile situation, I think, developing, especially during the course of Saturday, then possibly even into Sunday. Need to also watch the temperatures in the north coast of Scotland, by the way. That Murray coast, strong south to southeasterly winds. We could see temperatures close to 30 Celsius even here. Also up to the northwest Highlands as well. With the Fern effect, we could see some very warm temperatures across the far north of the country as well. So a very interesting situation this upcoming weekend. And then beyond that, we clean the atmosphere out. The cold front associated with that area of low pressure will eventually push east, and then it will kind of have a lot fresher of a feel of the air once that feature then pushes through. So certainly a lot of things to cover. Keep it right here on my YouTube channel. Do subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit the like button. Let YouTube know that you're enjoying the content. And of course, drop a comment in the section below. Let me know that you're enjoying the content as well. So hopefully we're back again tomorrow, and I'll see you again then. So enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Bye for now.